TV. You have just tuned in to the BL Glover Show. Now, just to set the premise and get you to understand that the Better Black America TV is the station, is the location, okay? We got a whole lot of plans moving down the road. Okay, we talk entertainment, sports, politics, and money. We're going to break these components up to different shows and different episodes. So you just tuned into the BL Glover Show, Politics Edition. And we got to talk politics today because there's been some sad news that we got to talk about. And, we got to talk about it. Just a moment of silence for some fallen soldiers, for the United States Army. And we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. So, and I decided to go live because, a lot of times when we go live that there's, the algorithms can't block a lot of our feeds because we spend a lot of times in the back offices and, do videos and edited videos, but then you have news outlets that don't want us to talk about the happenings and what's going on in the world today. So we have 3 dead individuals that were killed in Jordan over the weekend. And one name is Sergeant William Jerome Rivers, 46, from Carrollton, Georgia. Another one, and they basically said the 2 sisters have been promoted to sergeant. Okay, you got 24-year-old specialist, which became a sergeant, Kennedy Layden Sanders, and then Sergeant Breonna Alexandria Moffett, 23, from Savannah, Georgia, and Kennedy Layden Sanders is from Waycross, Georgia. So all 3 individuals that basically were killed in this drone strike in an area called Tower 22 in Jordan, there's some red flags there. I look at the news outlets and we talk and we communicate, and a lot of times, they sit back and they come together and make a decision on what the narrative is going to be. And then all the news outlets get their script, and then they go in and have these conversations. But here on the Better Black America TV, the BL Glover Show, we have to look at it from a different lens. We can't just go by what they're telling us because these are individuals that's family. Okay, when I see these 3 individuals, it's no different than my son and my 2 daughters. Okay, now William Jerome Rivers, now we could be brothers, but the Kennedy and Breonna are young enough to be actually my daughter. So when we look at these situations, we have to really think outside of the box, because they asked Joe Biden, okay, what's the response? And we haven't responded yet. And these are 3 blacks, AKA African American soldiers. So the question is, I don't want to play the race card, but if they were white, would they have been an immediate response reaction? Because we know Joe Biden is not in control. They asked him what is he's going to do, and he's trying to pinpoint it on a particular group, and they following the money, and it goes back to Iran. Now we know the previous president, was set a standard, zero tolerance. The last Democrat in the Obama era, he set some red lines and did not fulfill. He basically called out, our common enemies, and basically said, if you do, if you do anything to us, we will respond. And they did exactly what he said. If they would do it, then he came back. And we all remember when President Obama said, that's the JV squad. Okay, because we know if we look back and just pay attention, let's have this conversation. Okay, this is the BL Glover Show. Okay, and a Better Black America talk radio show. This is what we're going to be doing on a talk radio basis, and having these conversations with a little music playing in the background and just having a real cohesive conversation. Because this event is very sad. Okay, now when you look at the United States Army, and I did not confirm, but they're saying they were reserve officers. Some say they were from the National Guard, but these are 3 soldiers with the United States Army, and they all 3 are from Georgia. And they said on the drone attack that approximately 40 soldiers were injured. and then you have 3 casualties, okay? And these 3 casualties happen to be Black, also known as African American. Now, my question is, do they have, or were they in some type of, racially divided barracks where out of the just a small percentage of representation that we have as Blacks and African Americans in the United States Armed Services, how is it that these 3 individuals are the only one to die? Now, are we going to find out, or are we going to know who the others or the injured was? Are we going to know their racial discrepancy? Because we know there's a large volume of Latinos in the military and a large volume of whites. So was this an all-Black regiment? Now, this is the Bill Glover Show. We're having this conversation. So we got to think outside the box. So we got to spin it and come from a different angle. So with these 3 individual casualties, and we have not responded as of yet, and they asked the president about this incident, and the president said that we're going to hold who's ever responsible accountable. But we're listening to a man that can't even hold his own, and Jill got to help him out. I'll point it for you, honey. And no pun intended, but let's be honest with ourselves. Joe Biden is not in control of anything. If you look at, what's going on in the world, if you follow the money, if you've been paying attention to the money, the rich are getting way richer, okay? The rich are getting richer in these days and times. While the economy is changing, inflation is at an all-time high, gas prices is all the way up, bacon and eggs and milk and things are, really skyrocketed, and it's hurting, the common folks, and it's hurting the middle class. But believe me, the rich are getting ultra rich right now under our eyes, because you just got to follow the money. So it's kind of like, supporting this 2-tier government is like, us pumping money into the Bloods and the Crips, okay? Regardless of what party that or what gang they belong to, but we know at the end of the day, they're going to kill one another. And if they continue to kill each other, we continue to pump money into both of the Bloods and the Crips and allow them to kill each other. It's no different than American democracy. And this is what we're going to have to deal with moving forward and have these conversations, because this is an election year, and we got to get in front of this, and we got to let the Democratic Party know and the Republican Party know that Black America has an issue with American democracy, because American democracy tends to, hurt the culture of Blacks and stop us from receiving the freedoms and the liberty that we've been fighting for since the existence of this nation. Because last time that I checked, it's to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God. Okay, it's not a democracy. Democracy must die. And democracy has to be accountable for what's going on. And democracy, AKA the Democrats, is going to have to deal with the original sin, which is slavery. So these 3 soldiers perished. Were they in a segregated unit? That's the question that I had in my head, because how is it that these 3 individuals died and 40 different individuals were injured? Now, until we see who these other individuals were and basically find out if they all were Black, because this was a unit from Georgia, okay? All 3 from Georgia, okay? Carrollton, Georgia, Waycross, Georgia, and Savannah, Georgia. So what's really going on? And I have to give you some information. Now, since October, there has been over 160 attacks on American bases in the Middle East. I'm gonna say this again, 160 attacks. Now, if you really think about it and really want to comprehend and understand, think about it from a top-down perspective. Think about it from a 1% perspective. Just think about if you or I were, were captains over there, lieutenants, people that's making decisions, and we can't get the White House to respond to help us while we are in our time of need, and we need the support, and we need the United States government and the Pentagon to give us the directive to actually respond and give us the aid and the help that we need to respond and protect ourselves. But since these bases have been attacked over 160 times, think about this. You could say allegedly, okay, hypothetical. I'm not saying I don't have any intelligence on this, but I'm looking at it from the founding's perspective, and I'm looking at it from a representation of the people. Our Constitution says we the people, because we can't really believe and trust what they tell us, because we don't even know what happened to John F. Kennedy, and he was a sitting president at the time. We don't really know what happened to Dr. King. We don't really know what happened to the Black Panthers. We don't really know what happened to the Civil Rights Movement with Malcolm X. So why would they be honest, and why would they tell us the truth and give us the intelligence that we need to basically be comfortable with their answer and their response? Because when you look at these individuals, we really have to understand that these are somebody's babies, somebody's husband, somebody's daughter, somebody's child. And the two females, Kennedy and Breonna, are young enough to be my children. Okay. Sergeant Williams is old enough to be typically my biological brother. So we cannot listen to what the media is telling us, because they get a script and they read it. Okay. So from the outside looking in, from someone that's representing the people, okay, nonpartisan, non-Republican, non-Democrat, somebody that's, love this nation and that's a part of this nation, we got to communicate. And these three individuals, okay, were there in the segregated barracks, because, we are a small percentage in the United States Armed Forces. And for these three individuals to perish, and then there were 40 additional individuals injured. So we would like to know the ethnicity and the racial makeup of the 40 individuals that were hurt, because it would hurt our heart, and we really do need to know the truth, because I know they say need to know. We do really need to know the truth, because if it was an all-black regiment, it basically just support our argument and support the angle that I'm presenting today. And the angle that I'm presenting today is friendly fire. Friendly fire. Friendly fire. Think about it. You have the United States Army, the United States Armed Services in the middle of the Middle East in Jordan, and what they call Tower 22. Okay. The American units and bases have been attacked over 160 times since October. Okay. The United States government, the Democratic Party with Joe Biden in charge, has not responded or done anything cohesive enough to basically stop the attacks. So when you talk about the segregated barracks, when you talk about sacrificial lambs, and then you talk about what they would call friendly fire, you have to really think about, was this the play? Because it's chess, not checkers. Because you remember the football player Tillman, who enlisted and went to the Army with his brother and became a Ranger, and he was actually killed due to friendly fire, because he was really trying to do the job. So when I say friendly fire, I'm saying is, how is it possible that a drone can breach our security systems and security measures and get close enough to our base to actually strike a allegedly segregated barrack, injure 40 additional people, and kill 3 blacks? Now, you could debunk the entire angle that I'm coming from by allowing us to know the truth. Were the other individuals involved? What was their racial makeup? Because it seems as though these individuals were sacrificed to basically send a message to not only the Pentagon, but to the President of the United States to pull the lever to go ahead and allow us, or allow our armies, to basically defend themselves and get, and strike and become more offensive instead of defensive. So these things that we got to talk about, because we all look at movies, it's never what they tell us what it is. It's always spun in a different way. So, life imitates art and art imitates life. So we cannot listen to a president tell us what he wants to tell us, because the American people don't need to know. We need to know the truth, because the truth shall make us free. Now, why did they have to send a message to get a response? We still haven't responded yet. And I got a few DMs, and people were telling me, are you going to ask them why? Haven't we responded if it was 3 whites that got injured, or if it was a all-white regiment or an all-white barrack? Would we have responded? When you have a president saying, you know, we'll respond when we respond, and we're going to hold them accountable. And like I said, and like I aforementioned, he can't even hold his own. So how is he going to hold? He don't even know what's going on. So somebody is calling the shots. They are burning a candle from both ends. Okay, you have a small 1% that's basically funding both sides. Okay, if you did not know, some intelligence came out today with the United Nations. Okay, now the United Nations has connected 1,500 United Nation members to Hamas. Okay, and 12 highly diplomatic individuals was relieved of their duties today from the United Nations because they connected 12 of these individuals as participating in what happened in Israel. I'll wait. Think about that. Think about that. Just think about it. Use your mind. So what I'm saying is, as Black Americans, are we going to just sit back and continue to live in this burning house and continue to support this two-tier government and give them the message and the signal that we are supporting their lies? Are we going to continue to do this? So what I'm saying is, this is our moment in history for us to really understand that we cannot be connected to this monster. Okay, and this monster is a globalist agenda, because we have a sitting president who does not even say God bless America. He say God bless the troops, because he knows that these casualties are going to happen. He knows that these casualties are going to continue to happen. Why haven't we responded? Like I said, I know the other guy, his name is Donald Trump. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. But if something were to happen to our soldiers, if something were to happen to American citizens, I know that president will respond immediately, okay? Because that's what you do when you support your countrymen. But when you have a Zionist globalist like Joseph Robinette Biden, who really can't even tie his own shoes, who get lost getting off of the helicopter, can't even find his way into his own home, that's a problem. So think about this. We are getting played. And think about us as Black individuals. Think about us as Americans. This country is a country that our ancestors built. We have going on 400 plus years of equity here in this nation being documented. I know we were here as indigenous natives, as the Indians and all of this stuff, but at the end of the day, they did not start counting us until August 20th, the year 1619 in Jamestown, Virginia. So we are clicking on a 404 year or 405 years right now, but if we go off the 360 calendar, those 400 years will be expiring in August, and we're going to be celebrating this year. So now that we as individuals have to wrap our mind around what's really going on in the world, there's no way we can aid and abet and continue to support democracy. And when I say democracy, it's basically, and I'm keeping it in layman's terms, it's like, you pay the Bloods and I'll pay the Crips, and when they kill each other, we get rich. That's basically what's going on. You pay the Bloods, I'll pay the Crips, let them kill each other, and we both get rich. That's exactly what's going on. So the MAGA Republicans and the conservatives and the evangelicals are paying Donald Trump and paying the Republican Party. The liberals, the LGBTQ community, the African Americans are funding the Democrats. And what do? What do they do? If we were one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, this would not be happening. And if it did happen, there's no way we'll be having this conversation today without a response. So think about it. We got to get to the bottom of this, okay? So the angle that I'm coming from, I cannot go off the narrative from CNN, NBC, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, Bloomberg, all these reports. I can't go off of their reports because I have to look at it from a different angle, okay? And this is a Better Black America TV And my name is Bushan Glover. This is the BL Glover Show. So I'm putting my spin and my twist on it as if these were my biological children and my brother. Because if these, because we have questions, and I'm sure just because the president of the United States called the family and he's going to meet the bodies when they come here, what does that mean? What does that mean? Okay? Because we know without a shadow of a doubt, this country will not last with a two-tier government. So this is why we got to understand that these democracy is under the microscope. This is the year that we expose the lies, because it's only good and evil, God and the devil. Okay, and America is a republic. To the republic, which it stands, one nation under God, a God-fearing republic, and democracy is blocking our blessings. So this is an opportunity for us to basically, remove ourselves from this two-tier government and let them know now during an election year, and we will have a plan down the road, because we're seeking out a constitutional amendment. Okay, we're seeking reparations in the form of HR 40 introduced by Sheila Jackson Lee, and we will be supporting all state legislation that is putting reparations bills on the table, because America had an original promise, and it came from Abraham Lincoln when he emancipated us, okay, in 1865. And look what they did. They murdered the president that put away $8 million and created the Freedmen's Bank Bureau for us to basically start anew. Okay, so now we're going after those monies with interest, because we want to be a nation within this nation, because we don't want to be a part of democracy, because democracy clearly is ruled by the devil, because we can have situations happen like this, which are very suspect. Okay, this is suspect. How can a drone enter our airspace, get close enough, and strike a barracks or strike some facilities that was housing, 40 plus individuals? You got over 40 injured and 3 casualties, and all three of the casualties happen to be from Georgia and happen to be black. That's suspect to me. Okay, now the drone, when I say friendly fire, is it possible that we struck ourselves? Think about that. Okay, we got to, no stone unturned. No stone unturned. Like I said, I could be wronger than 2 left shoes, but let's talk about it. Prove me wrong. Because we understand what friendly fire is. And we understand what sacrificing 3 blacks and sacrificing a black barrack and injuring blacks, so we can actually send a message not only to the Pentagon, but to the President of the United States to give us the green light to basically defend ourselves, because we've been attacked over 160 times since October. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Just like with Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and all of the protests that we were doing, under here in America, let's say their names: Sergeant William Jerome Rivers, 46. Sergeant Kennedy Layden Sanders, 24. Sergeant Breonna Alexandria Moffett, 23. Jerome Rivers, Carrollton, Georgia. Layden Sanders, Waycross, Georgia. And Alexandria Moffett, Savannah, Georgia. All 3 individuals that are perished and was killed are from Georgia. Like I said, and the question is, and I can't help but, as a black man who's dealt with racism here in this nation, if these were 3 whites, will we be still waiting on instructions or still waiting to respond? Okay, number 2, friendly fire. Did America sacrifice and attack its own segregated barracks to basically get the response that they want, and that's to defend themselves, because they have been under attack since October, and there have been over 160 attacks on Army bases in that region. So what are we doing? What are we doing? So think about it. Friendly fire. Let's have this conversation. We're not going to move past this. We're going to continue to have these conversations. So I just had to go on live. I didn't want to put something together and edit it and all that, and then they shadow ban it and block it because, they don't want us putting a different narrative out there because they want us to typically read the script that they're giving us. And the script that they have given us is that, one of our drones was on its way back and they got confused and an enemy drone came in too. So if one of our drones was coming in, then there was a secondary drone that was unidentified, which would basically be a red flag for us to respond and shoot it down. But that didn't happen. But see, they could tell Joe Biden that, and he'll believe it because he don't even know what he's talking about. But that just doesn't sound right. So you're telling me the enemy was able to come in and they thought our drone was their drone? That doesn't make sense. Where's the surveillance? Where's the satellite information? And I guarantee you, like I said, I can't guarantee you, but I hope that they come out with the evidence and show us through satellite images, because our bases are clearly always shown from a satellite perspective, basically show 2 drones and not 1. Because that's the question. If it was friendly fire, our own drone made the strike and they're covering it up, just like the United States government has covered the assassination of John F. Kennedy, a sitting president, how our government has assassinated the most notable civil rights leader known to man, which is Dr. King, how our United States government has destroyed our Black Panther Party, how destroyed our communities, and how they have sacrificed Black men to basically get us out the way so they can basically use our sisters in these days and times as political prostitutes. Now, we're going to keep this coming. When I say political prostitutes, I have to speak on that because we have 3 individuals in Letitia James, Fonnie Willis, and who's the other one? Cori Bush. These are Democrats that was actually put into office as attorney generals and district attorneys and city councilmen or senators, congressmen. Cori Bush is a congresswoman, and they are all under scrutiny right now. And they're showing the scams and things that will literally bring them down, but it all happens under the umbrella of, we want to bring you in, we want to be inclusive, but then once they use you and get you to do what they're not willing to do, and then they'll basically, expose your lies, expose, your dirty laundry and things like that. Because Fonnie Willis is caught up in a scandal. She basically wired, the district attorney that's basically prosecuting Donald Trump's case in Fulton County. He got $650,000, and he's not even the lead attorney. And the other 2 individuals got $150,000. And he's been using those funds to go on trips and vacations. And his wife, basically, they have a divorce hearings, and he basically won today to basically seal the case, and he does not have to testify. So look how scandalous that is. And then Cori Bush, the Wall Street Journal just reported that her husband was on payroll as security. So look how how compromised we are as individuals. We all do it. They all do it. We put our family on. Joe Biden put his son on. Okay. Now Cori Bush, basically, I'm sure that she was basically paying her security, and her husband's like, put me on. And as Blacks, it's a lot of pressure we have to put on our own people. So she put her husband on the payroll as security. And now the Wall Street Journal is reporting that, she got a lot of questions to answer, and it might come with a congressional hearing. And then the Fonnie Willis case, she's sleeping with the DA. And just think about the conflict of interest, from the district attorney sleeping with a subordinate and hiring an individual that is not even qualified for the case. This is one of the biggest cases that the state of Georgia had ever seen, and she hired a person who never prosecuted a felony case ever in his career. And that's crazy. And then you have Letitia James, they already waiting on her, because in New York with the Donald Trump case, you got to ask yourself, why is it that nobody has ever sued this guy? And if you look at the case, there's no victim. But they put our Black women out there as political prostitutes, the pimps, is putting the prostitutes out there to do their dirty work. And if you think about it, black men had to go through the same thing. And I understand you got to play the game, but look at, Kwame Brown, and look at Jesse Jackson's son. Look at all the black individuals. Look at Mark Ridley Thomas. Look at the individuals that played the game, and now they basically, use, their dirt to get them out the way, and then they replace them with a female, and we thinking like, oh man, we doing it, the sisters is on, and it's all basically just to, destroy their careers. Look at the black woman, Claudine Gay, that was the president of Harvard University, and then all of a sudden, they give her some talking points. She go to Congress, she loses her position, the shortest tenure as president, and basically they deaded the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. They deaded that, and this now you got a billionaire, one of Harvard's most prominent billionaires, that's basically pulling money out. So you see how they use us. So I really want us to understand that there's a difference between us and them. This is why I fought hard, to basically put black in play, because you are tuning into a better black America. And a better black America will create a better America for all. And black is an acronym for Black, Latin, Asian, Caucasian, kinsmen, meaning we're all family, but we cannot sit back and let the white man speak for us, let the brown man speak for us, let the Chinese man speak for us, and more importantly, let, a ethnicity or some type of sexual preference movement to speak for us, because we are standalone. All humanity came from the black man. Okay, that's proven, documented history. All humanity was created on the continent of Africa. So now that we are living and the curse is expiring, and we are learning and understanding, we're going to have to stand on our own 2 feet as a culture, because we're going to have to choose freedom in this year, because culture is typically them just picking and choosing, suspect individuals to push an agenda or a narrative for their benefit, because it's not the person that we see, it's who's behind these people. This is why we gotta live in the light and be in the forefront, and make sure that as individuals that there's nobody calling the shots from us, but God. This is why we have to denounce American democracy, which is basically Bloods and Crips in high places. We have to denounce that and have to embrace theocracy, which means rule by God. And we have to create a nation within this nation. And I need y'all to keep on tuning in, share, like, do what you need to do, get the information out, because this is going to be the place where we're going to have these topics of discussion. This is the place where we're going to have communication, for the plan of the black man moving forward. Because if the black man get his act together, then the black race as a whole will thrive. Because there's nothing better than a black nuclear family. God, man, woman, and child. And this is what they don't want. This is why they brought in the welfare state in the late 60s and early 70s and made sure that they got the black men out the household. This is why they created, a crack and a drug epidemic to get our black men strung out on drugs. And this is why they created a crime bill to basically lock us up in jail. And it's the Democratic Party, Bill Clinton, his wife Hillary Clinton, and the sitting president, who worked together to make sure they put in 3 strikes and you're out, and destroy an entire generation. So we are living in some days and some times to where we're going to have to live our truth and communicate and disassociate ourselves with those bad actors that can actually allow this to happen. Because I know without a shadow of a doubt, if those are 3 white soldiers, somebody would have did something. There would be Proud Boys on planes, secret, regiment and groups leaving this country, going, to the Middle East to basically get some get back for their people. But long as the president just called, the family and, I'm sorry this happened and we're going to hold everyone accountable. But how you going to hold everyone accountable, Joe Biden, when you can't even hold your own? And I can just imagine him just, and Jill got to come in. I'll point it for you, baby. But listen, man, with that being said, man, listen, man, let's we got to get our act together. We cannot continue to be on this broken axle, and we must do what we need to do. So we cannot let these 3 deaths go in vain. We need to know, was it an all-black barrack that was struck And was there two drones coming in instead of one? Because they're trying to tell us that, or we got caught slipping, or somebody was on duty and they let two drones in when only one was basically supposed to come in. So they're basically saying friendly fire. And these individuals were sacrificed to get the green light from the Pentagon and get the green light from the sitting president, so we can actually retaliate, because they have been in hostile territories and been under attack since October, and documented there has been over 160 attacks on U.S. bases that's in the Middle East. So with that being said, man, this your man Bushan Glover. Like, share, subscribe, and we're going to keep it coming. You just tuned into the Bill Glover Show Politics Edition. Peace out.